Welcome to Across the Balkans. I'm Nafisa Latic. Great to have your company. The EU has warned Kosovo not to reopen a controversial bridge in the country's north, cautioning that it risks being isolated if it does. This comes after Prime Minister Albin Kurti announced plans to fully open the main bridge that separates the Serb-majority north from the ethnic Albanian south. His plans sparked protests as ethnic Serbs said they wouldn't feel safe if the bridge is reopened. It was supposed to be open to traffic in 2017 after an agreement in Brussels, but until now it's only been open to pedestrians. The EU insists the issue should be revisited as part of Belgrade-Pristina dialogue, and any such move without coordination could lead to tensions. Adam Amunu explains.
Bridges are meant to connect people, places and communities. However, in Mitrovica, a town in northern Kosovo, this bridge has heightened ethnic tensions. It serves as a boundary between two distinct communities, the north, predominantly ethnic Serb, and the south, predominantly ethnic Albanian. It's been closed to vehicles for more than a decade, and since 2011, ethnic Serbs started putting up barricades, not allowing ethnic Albanians to travel freely into their part of the city. Reopening the bridge was part of an EU-driven dialogue between Kosovo and Serbia in 2015. In 2016, they agreed the bridge would open for passengers and vehicles in January 2017, but that never happened. But in April, the Municipal Assembly of North Mitrovica decided to once again allow vehicle traffic on the bridge.
Grad na Kosovu koji nije imao svoj most, ostao je sada grad bez Srba. Nema više nijednog. Ovaj grad i ovaj most je imao tu sreću. Do ovog mosta, do ove obale Ibra stalo etničko čišćenje koje je bosomučno trajalo od 1999. godine i 2000. godine.
Despite strong opposition by ethnic Serbs, who make up the majority in Mitrovica, Kosovo's Prime Minister Albin Kurti says the bridge must be opened for the benefit of all citizens of Kosovo.
Nuk është çështje diskutimi, është çështje hapje. Në vitin 2016 janë përmbyllur të gjitha diskutimet dhe është thënë që ura duhet të hapet me 20 janar 2017. Tash nuk jemi as në janar, as në 2017. Jemi gusht 2024.
The opening of the bridge would merely be symbolic, I would argue, because there are 3 other bridges already connecting the north and the south of Mitrovica across the river. So, people are already, to be clear, walking across this bridge. That doesn't promote genocide, that promotes connecting of people and places. So this notion that somehow this bridge, prevents so-called ethnic cleansing is nonsense, to be quite frank.
EU spokesperson Peter Stano said that opening the bridge is an explosive issue, and that crisis between Serbia and Kosovo could be worsened by what he described as Kosovo's unilateral action. Kosovo's President Vjosa Osmani dismissed his comments.
Deklaratat e zëdhënësit të këtyre institucioneve janë mbi të gjitha raciste, njësoj sikurse ky zëdhënësi nduket është nga Slovakia, që nuk e pyet asnjë nga shtetet fqinje kur e ka lënë urën e vet.
The US ambassador to Kosovo, Jeffrey Hovenier, said in an interview for Radio Free Europe that while the US believes the bridge should be open to vehicles, he believed this is not the time because of security concerns. He did not mention in the interview who may cause violence. This comes after Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić was reported to have warned about potential provocations.
And at present, Kosovo Serb elites are advocating for the Ibar Bridge to remain closed. However, I think we can assume with fairly great accuracy that they are instructed to take that position by Belgrade. You have to remember that Serbia provides between 300 and 500 million euros annually to Kosovo Serbs. which gives a lot of great leverage, to the Vučić regime to kind of control the position of Kosovo's Serb elites.
Tensions between Kosovo and Serbia have persisted since the war between Serbian forces and ethnic Albanian insurgents in the 1990s, and Kosovo declaring independence in 2008, a move that Serbia opposes as it views Kosovo as part of its territory. Relations further worsened after a shootout last September between Serb gunmen and Kosovo police that killed 4 people.
Reopening the Ibar Bridge could symbolize reconciliation between Kosovo Serbs in the north and Kosovo Albanians in the south. And you will also be aware that the rebuilding of the Stari Most, the old bridge in Bosnia and Herzegovina, serves as a similar example. If that bridge could be rebuilt and celebrated after years of war, why can't the Ibar Bridge be reopened?
To de-escalate tensions, dialogue is essential. But for now, that's one bridge that is yet to be crossed. Adam Aminu, across the Balkans.
Let's bring in Dan Ilazi from Pristina. He is the head of research at the Kosovo Center for Security Studies. Great to have you with us. Dan, I have to start by asking, why opening this bridge now?
Well, that's a very good question, and I think it's a question that many are pondering. I think it's not just about now. If you look at the context, there's a process in place. Kosovo and Serbia discussed the issue of opening the Ibar Bridge in Mitrovica for at least 3 times in the framework of the Brussels dialogue. First, in July of 2014, they agreed on removal of barricades and revitalization of the bridge with the help of the European Commission. Then the following year in 2015, there was a agreed arrangement for opening the bridge to all traffic by the end of June 2016. And then in 2016, in August, there was the latest arrangement or agreement on this issue. There was an implementation plan agreed between Kosovo and Serbia to remove any of the previous misinterpretation. So 3 times this issue was discussed in Brussels, and as I mentioned, there was already a cutoff date when the bridge should have been open for all traffic. In this aspect, it's important perhaps to clarify for viewers that the bridge, it's open for citizens or people to cross, but it's closed for vehicles, So when we say opening the bridge, we mean opening for all traffic. So there are also, important to note, other bridges not far from this main bridge, Ibar, where actually one of the bridges leads to a neighborhood in the north Mitrovica called the neighborhood of the Bosnians. So there is already
right, and these, sorry to jump in, but let me just explain to our audience. So people are normally crossing these bridges. So what's the issue with this one?
The issue with this one is that this one became a symbol of division of and the partition of the Mitrovica municipality. It's also a symbol of the division of the north of Kosovo with the rest of Kosovo. So opening this bridge carries more of a symbolic meaning that in a way there isn't a there aren't 2 Kosovos, or there isn't a partition of the north and the rest of Kosovo, but it is integrated. So in one aspect, it has that very important also psychological relevance for citizens in the country to see the country as a whole as one. So I think that's why it is very important for many citizens. However, just to provide an explanation, even though there were the agreements for opening the bridge and Serbia agreed to this, it was postponed or it was not implemented due to administrative disputes between the 2 municipalities, the municipality of Mitrovica South and municipality of Mitrovica North, about their borders. And so this issue prevented initial implementation of the agreement. But however, now, I don't think this is the primary obstacle for opening the bridge. I think now there are other concerns about opening the bridge now and the timing of opening of the bridge that are mainly raised by the international community in Kosovo. Also very important to note, perhaps, every year the European Commission in the country report for Kosovo mentioned that the bridge should open.
So then why is the EU saying then now that it shouldn't be open, we should wait for more coordination. We've heard those strong remarks by Vjosa Osmani, Kosovo's president. So I'm trying to understand here why the EU and the US, we've heard from the ambassador in Pristina as well, are cautious when it comes to opening the bridge now. I'm trying to understand this here. Why are they changing their stance?
Yeah, so a very good question, because it, I think, comes to the key issue here, because I think the context has changed in the entire north of Kosovo, in the 4 municipalities that are in the north of Kosovo that constitute about 10% of the territory of the country. So there's a new context, and I think the main concern has to do with security. Last year in May, we had very violent clashes between local Serbs, although police in Kosovo reported there were also Serbs from Serbia who attended those riots or violent clashes, with KFOR, with soldiers from NATO in the country. And around 30 soldiers were seriously wounded during these clashes. And some had to go through surgery, as it was reported. So I think that event, as well coupled with the Banjska terrorist attack last year, I think have raised serious concerns among NATO and KFOR about security implications if you're moving with opening the bridge now, because there is a very strong opposition to opening the bridge from the local Serbs in Mitrovica and the north. And that is why the last report from the European Commission changes position. Although it used to say always the bridge should be open without delay, the recent report, the country report for Kosovo, changes this position to that the bridge should be opened in close consultation with NATO and the Quint countries, basically saying EU, NATO, and the US. So I think security implications are one. There are also political implications potentially related to opening of the bridge. The international community haven't had the best relationship with this government, and I don't think they see the act of opening the bridge by the Kosovo government as a pure act of opening the bridge or implementing an agreement. I think they see this act as either a provocation or they see it as another act in the series of measures that the Kosovo government took in the north that were perceived by US, EU, and NATO that were heavy-handed. This includes installing the Albanian mayors to lead Serb-majority municipalities, banning the use of dinar, closing...
Yeah, there have been, we have covered all that then before. Yes. There have been several things that they started to in some way part ways, but hopefully this will be resolved in a diplomatic way, because, appears to me it's very tense. I want to show the visuals of the bridge being renovated while NATO peacekeepers are patrolling nearby. The viewers can see those images now on screens. Why are the potential security implications? What are the potential security implications if the dispute continues? How serious is the situation when it comes to security at the moment in the north?
I think after the Banjska terrorist attack, NATO and international community became much more, I think, appreciative of the conflict potential of the situation in the north. And there have been numerous of measures that NATO has taken and international community to prevent a similar kind of situation. This includes, for instance, increasing capabilities of KFOR and giving KFOR the necessary equipment and personnel to be what NATO calls combat readiness. And I think this was a clear message to Serbia, but I think there was a much more important message to Russia and its proxies in our region, because I think when you look at the Banjska, it is clear that Russia, based on circumstantial evidence that we have, that it was somehow involved, or at least they knew about this event and they warned about this in a way. And it's clear with the resignation of the former head of the Serbian intelligence agency, now Deputy Prime Minister Aleksandar Vulin, just a few days after Banjska, that or a certain period after Banjska, that his resignation was linked with that. So I think it was a message not just to anyone in Serbia thinking of using force to change the situation in the north, but also to other actors that might have an interest on that.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have any more time, Dan, but I do
Absolutely.
understand what you are saying as the situation there often changes in 24 hours. So it's extremely sensitive. I mean, even Banjska came out of surprise for everyone. Dan Ilazi, great to have you with us. Always a pleasure to discuss security issues with you in Kosovo. Thank you.